Okay, class, today we're going to be talking about discussing superheroes and supervillains. And through the course of this study, we're going to learn how to brainstorm some problems that they have in their storylines and some problems that we have in real life and ways that they can use to solve the problems and some strategies we can use to solve some problems. How many of you guys have seen the movie The Avengers? You saw it? Okay, I did too. I saw it last weekend. And who are some of the characters we saw in the movie?
Captain America.
Captain America, that's right. Captain America was one of them. So in this superhero database, you can find out about all of the superheroes and the supervillains, the teams and the superpowers. And so let's look at Captain America. Here he is. This website, this database, gives us some information about him. He's Steve Rogers. It tells us some bio, some history, some special powers that he has. If we scroll on down, we're going to find out that he doesn't have any enemies stated here, but he does have affiliation with some people, some groups that do positive work. So before we go on any further, let's talk about what a hero is and what a villain is. Somebody raise your hand and tell me what a hero is. Leslie, what's a hero?
A hero is somebody that does good and fixes our problems and saves us from bad things.
That's a good one. That's very good. It's a person who's distinguishable and has courage and tries to do the right thing. Now I need someone else to help Leslie out and tell us what a villain is. Carrie, what's a villain?
They do bad. They're always trying to cause problems and stirring up stuff.
That's very good. They're wicked. They have a wicked nature about them, and they're out to do evil and cause harm. Well, let's go back for a moment and talk about all the positives. When we watched the movie, another person we saw in the Avengers was the Hulk. But this is what I want us to notice. He is a nuclear chemist, a physicist. And he went through some changes that brought about some mutations in his body. Instead of just being Bruce Banner, he became the Hulk. His body changes, his voice changes, his temperament changes, but he still uses those things for positives. Who was somebody else that we saw in the movie? Who?
Iron Man.
Iron Man was another one. Very good. Spider-Man was not in the movie, but Spider-Man is another character that we see a lot on TV. He's got another movie coming out as well. Benjamin Parker, Peter Parker. Now Peter lived in New York. He's got some cool nicknames. He lived with his grandmother, and he does have some enemies. The Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, the Lizard Mysterio 1. He's had to come up with ways, different ways to fight evil and to do good things for our country. Before we go any further, I want us to think about special powers, appearances, background, whether the person's a private or public enemy, and a place of residence. So, raise your hand if you can tell me some special powers that superheroes have.
Strong.
Very good. They're strong. What's one of them that Superman had? He could fly, that's right. Some of them have X-ray vision, so they can see through things. About their appearance, do some of them wear capes?
Yeah.
What about their faces? Are their faces always shown?
No.
So what do they wear? Mask, yeah, because they want to cover up their identity. Spider-Man wore a mask, Batman wore a mask. As we were looking just a moment ago, we found out that some of these people come from everyday home situations. They live in the cities. Most of them do. Most of them lived here in America. Some of these characters are private and some of them are public enemies. CD should have gone here. I goofed that up. So let's go back up here to the background. They went through some kind of a change that brought about a change in their character. Like maybe it was through a mutation that brought about a change. For Lex Luthor, it was a problem with his family. His great-grandfather was very wealthy, and during World War I, he had to use some of his money and his industrial steel to help construct ships and things for the war, and lost all of his money. And Lex Luthor grew up in poverty, and for that reason, he's always had this chip on his shoulder, and he's never known how to solve problems. He's just always been able to create them. Let's look over here at Superman, though. Superman's a very interesting character. He's known as the Man of Steel. He's got some friends and some enemies. If you want to look at the history, here's the history of him. It's very interesting to sit and read this. And how he realized that he could use his powers for something good. His powers at the beginning were something that he was afraid of, and he didn't know how to deal with them. But he realized that he could use them for good things, so his mother started making him costumes, and through those costumes he became a different person, and he used that for the betterment of society. Now we get to Lex Luthor. And I was telling you just a little bit about him. And it says he doesn't have any enemies, but he's affiliated with these gangs right here, or these group of villains right here. So let's walk over here to the board, and we're going to compare Lex Luthor and Superman. We've done a little background on them, and we can write some things about them. Now, when you get ready to come up with your superhero, it doesn't have to be anyone that we've discussed here. It can be someone you just want to make up. I want you to take the two characters, and I want you to find things that are alike and ways in which they're different. So for this one, we're going to choose Superman. And Lex Luthor. Okay, let's talk about some ways they're alike. Any ideas?
Everybody knows them.
They are well known. They are both men. Originally, I guess you could say that they came from a affluent family, a good family, because his family was wealthy at one point, and we know he came from Krypton, which is another planet that had, they didn't have money like what we think of money, but they were still affluent. They both had tragedies in their life that caused them to take different avenues on how to deal with them. Okay, now let's think about ways in which they're different. Ways in which these two characters are different. How is Superman different from Lex Luthor?
He does good stuff.
He's a good person. I guess we could also say he's a problem solver. He thinks through things. He thinks instead of reacts. Thinks before reacting. Okay, let's get over here to Lex Luthor. He's not a very good person. Let's just say it the way it is. He's a villain.
He creates problems.
He does. He creates problems. He creates problems for humanity. I guess I might even go as far to say he's an angry person who doesn't know how to deal with his problems. In our society, that's kind of how we look at things. If we watch the evening news, we see sometimes how there's positive things going on in the world, and then we see how there's negative things. How sometimes kids, as young as you guys are, come up with ways to solve a problem, whether it's collecting cans and saving the money and buying shoes, or collecting glasses for needy children in different countries. And then we also find information about people who are in gangs who don't know how to take the right path. And so throughout the rest of this week, you're going to be creating your own superhero characters, and I want you to choose a problem that exists in our society today, and I want you to be able to tackle it. And here are some topics I came up with, and if you have one that you want to share with me when I come around, you can certainly do that. The first one I come up with is puppy mills, canned food drives, book drives for literacy, recycling programs for the neighborhood or for your school or even your home, ways to save electricity. Now I'm going to come by in just a moment with my pad, my paper, and I want you to tell me what you've chosen. And if you come up with one on your own, as I said earlier, you just let me know what it is, and we can discuss it and I'll write it down. And I just want you to kind of, after you get some ideas down, it's going to become like a comic strip, like a little comic book that you would buy for DC Comics. You're going to actually create your characters, and you're going to put the little bubbles up there that have their mouth on them and what they're saying. And I think it'll be fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's get busy.